Hello friends. Today in this video is a continuation of a little bit of what I posted in my previous videos regarding ascension and awakening, regarding good relationships, and also regarding Valentine's Day. So wish everyone a very belated happy Valentine's Day. I didn't celebrate Valentine's Day simply because I'm a single person. Secondly, because I got really sick with some cancer like diseases in the last few years related to many things that are going wrong globally, which impact my health when those global things are also happening locally in my life. So, as a result, I currently do not have as much of a pull towards materialistic gifts. One time, just during the time when I was experiencing cancer like symptoms and other health problems, there was a friend who wanted to gift me a scarf during my birthday. And he was also interested in me romantically, I felt, via the chat we had briefly. But I didn't want any gifts for two reasons. I'm very careful about taking gifts from any man if they're not related to me, especially because of this hidden agenda of men, that when a woman is single, and if the man is single or in the process of becoming single, because this guy was married and separated from his wife, and he was just a class social group friend, so I never met him personally in my life. Class social group meaning the year in which I graduated from my high school, those people in my high school had created a group, and that's why even though there might be thousands of students in my high school group, I don't know everyone personally in the social group that was created, as I was never a very popular kid or a social kid when growing up. And so, the reason why I'm making this video. First, as I said, I'm very careful about receiving gifts from men, even if I'm not related to them in a personal life. Even in a personal life, I would be very reluctant to get any kind of gifts from men who might be, say, my brother-in-laws or someone really distant to me in relationship. But when I was dating, or I was briefly married and then got divorced, in those times I did expect my spouses or my ex-boyfriends to do something for Valentine's Day and make it a little bit romantic like how we see in movies. But unfortunately, I feel, according to my experience and view of the world, majority of men do not understand romance, have not invested their time in understanding how to build a good relationship with their partners, even though it is very easy for a man to actually have a quality relationship with a woman if only they would devote even like 20% of their energy, 30% of their energy towards the spouses and girlfriends they have, that they devote to their work life and in achieving some material gains in their life. But unfortunately, very rare men invest deeply at the emotional level and at the caretaking level towards their spouses, and in that too, the men who do end up investing in good things and good quality relationships with their spouses, some of those men are also unhappy, because if they chose a spouse based on only sexual attraction and didn't choose a spouse based on deeper things that need to be present in a relationship, eventually, even if they had married someone who was the woman of their dreams, or if they're dating someone who was the woman of their dreams, they end up becoming unhappy in those relationships because there's no deeper soul level connectivity and resonance with the partner they chose. So the growth in which, the direction in which a relationship can build and go towards, fails to go towards that direction, as a result of choosing partners who might be misaligned with us. Now, we can't do anything about people who are already married for a long time and who have been misaligned in relationships, in the sense that the only thing those people, if they want to continue being married in a long term relationship with a partner, they have to think and strategize, and also use their emotional energy to figure out as a couple where they want to go in their midlives or in the end stage of their lives if they are feeling unhappy in their relationships. Because unhappiness in a relationship can happen to anyone. If you're a 20-year-old dating a young person, if you're a 30-40-year-old dating a middle-aged person, if you're a 50-60-year-old after divorce or after separation from boyfriends or girlfriends and you're still dating, it doesn't matter. This key component of men and women not understanding what is needed to make a relationship a deeper soul bond is missing for a long time in the majority of our lives. In fact, most of us have also grown up in those relationships where our parents and grandparents actually, after that initial phase, bubble phase of their love had worn off, stopped actually meaningfully loving each other at the deeper level. So none of us have also actually grown in society in the modern lives where we saw deeper soulful connections between our own parents or our own grandparents. Very few, rare few of us have actually seen deeper soul level love existing between our parents. As a result, most of us are not blessed in understanding deeply what is needed to make a relationship a soulful relationship, even after you've been married for many decades or you have been in a live-in relationship for many decades. The only thing so far that has been addressed by some women who have some moderate to average quality marriages is that they have decided to consciously include a good sex life in their marriage, which causes many women to have at least average quality marital life with their partners if they have managed to understand the sexual love language of their partner. But most men, in my opinion, are very lazy in the current generation. Very few men are ready currently in the modern lives to invest more than a sexual investment in their relationship. Some invest, other than sex, the monetary provisions that they provide to their partner. But except for these two levels, if they feel that they have given money to their partner, if they feel they have given adequate, right kind of sex and sexual respect to their partner, they feel that's all that a man needs to provide in a relationship. But this being modern lives, where many of us live in nuclear families, or many people also, if they are very high level workaholics or they are in professions which involve, they're billionaires and millionaires, they do not invest their time, thoughts, energy, efforts in caretaking of their women at the level in which women require. Every woman, think about it. Since you have grown up, if you have grown up with a couple of siblings who were brothers or sisters, you are already, the distribution of love that you receive from your family is quite less if you have multiple siblings. If you are the only child, or you have grown up in a family where only 2 or 3 sisters were growing up, that's the only time when women might have got a good, deep, fair share of love from their parents. But most of the women I know who grew up with me in India, most of the women had couple of siblings. They had, if not couple of siblings, one male sibling, and if they had a male sibling, definitely I know out of 99% of the women that I have grown up with, that if you have grown up with a male sibling, you're not the favorite child of your parents. Your parents are definitely preferring and prioritizing the social, financial, emotional needs of your male siblings than they do with the female sibling. And once a woman gets married, or which happened to 90% of my female friends, they all got married somewhere between their early 20s to late 20s. And after that period, none of the women I know about have their parents get ever involved in their lives at the deeper spiritual emotional needs level of the child. Once the child is married, if they have educated their daughters, most people of my parents' generation think that's all that their women child needs. Some parents keep in touch with their daughters to ask how you are doing, but do you think most daughters are going to start telling their parents if they are having sexual abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, physical abuse? No, because in our DNA programming, most women don't tell about their abuse when they are going through their abuse, because most women have been taught to somehow suppress and oppress or disguise or hide something nasty, or even something simply at a low key level heartbreaking that happens in their marriages or in their dating relationships. So once a person has become an adult and they leave their parental family, then very rarely have parents asking them what is going on. If they do have parents who ask them what is going on in their lives, very rarely would those women ever confess to their family if things are going wrong in their lives. And only after maybe going through a sexual abuse, financial abuse, physical abuse, or even just minor heartbreaks where just all you had was a simpler difference of opinion with your partners, after 5, 10, 20 years of going through that abuse, do women actually speak up about what is going wrong in their lives? I never, myself, in my personal life, even though a lot of verbal abuse was happening in my family, my mother never spoke up about what was going wrong in her marriage. She never talked about it to her friends. She didn't have a social group of friends, because this is the other thing that happens to women. If you have got married in your 20s, and 90% of the women will move from their social family and go and live with their partners, either in a joint family with their partners, or and very few, lucky few of them might have moved away hour or half an hour away from their parents. Most of the other women, they are usually liable to move away, cross state lines, cross countries, or they keep moving with their spouses if their spouses have a job where the spouse is changing jobs again and again. So they might be moving different cities depending on the kind of jobs their spouses have. As a result, while the spouses can have deep friendships, or men can survive with just having good social interactions at their workplace, or not expressing their emotional needs as much at a deeper level with their spouses. Why can men get by with it? Because women being more empathetic, women being more, usually typically being more caretaking in nature, if they see their spouse has something going on at work and they've observed it from their spouse's mood that something is wrong in the spouse's life, women automatically will create a space. Most of the women, if they are not narcissistic, if they haven't had some traumas of the past which has shut down their emotional expressiveness and understanding of men related systems, most women will create a space in their husbands in life, or in their if they are dating, in their boyfriend's lives, such that the boyfriend can have ease of life. The boyfriend doesn't need to worry about finances, boyfriend doesn't need to worry about provisions, boyfriend doesn't need to worry about keeping the house clean, about cooking for their partner, about taking care of household needs. If the woman is sorted, if the woman has had a balanced life, if the relationship is a moderate to good quality relationship, they will do all these things for their partners without even their partner asking ever if they need something. Very rarely do men have to ask their partner that this is what I need from you. Women usually intuitively pick it up about their sexual needs. Also, anything that a man needs, women pick it up intuitively and give it to the man. But the opposite hasn't happened from the men. Why? Because our society being patriarchal in nature, most of the current generation, for at least thousands of years, the men have grown up getting this free care from their spouses, from their sisters, from their parents, from their grandparents, because the man being the provider of the family, the society being patriarchal in nature, automatically gets it from everyone. For whatever reason, a woman might do it because they love the man, if they are dating him or married to him. A person who is their mother, they will do it because naturally there is a natural alignment where mothers will more deeply connect to the sons and fathers are supposed to deeply connect with the daughters. But if the fathers didn't deeply connect to their mothers or didn't understand how to deeply connect emotionally to their mothers, those are the same fathers who don't have a deep emotional connection with their daughters as a result. How much ever the man might be kind, generous, because in my mother's side of the family, my grandfather and my uncle, maternal uncle, they were both very soft men, generous men, kind men. But even though they were soft, generous, kind, sorted men, not cruel men, men who have taken more of verbal abuse than who give back abuse, despite this, these men also didn't know how to connect at the deeper emotional level with their partners and their daughters. That's why if their daughters had some problems in their life, they were able to provide some financial ways in which to support their daughters occasionally, but at the deeper level as a father that they could have done to support their daughters when their daughter is going through a challenging marriage or challenging life circumstances, those men also, despite being very generous and kind, couldn't give that because they hadn't learned it from their parents. So this is where men are failing to be a really good provider. This is where the society needs to actually shift. It isn't that there aren't some men who have understood this and who give this to their partners. But if again you have chosen a wrong partner, sometimes you're just giving and giving to a partner who's a narcissist, who will not appreciate you. And those men are now getting the receiving end of what women have gone through for generations and generations, where they've given and given and given to their sons and children and spouses and parents and siblings, but getting that same equitable level of love back from them doesn't happen. Because again, there are actually not two problems, there are three problems that govern this: women not getting back what they have given for generations and generations to their men. The first thing is men growing up in families where they didn't see how to give back to the women in an equitable manner. Second thing is all men have or all patriarchal society has ever been focused on is how to gain money and material goods. Third thing is, if you have been brought up in actually really fractured families, broken families, then you absolutely don't have an idea how to even have a meaningful bond with any other human being, or it's very difficult for you to have a meaningful bond with human beings. Then if you are a very materialism oriented society and the man has decided, instead of putting their energy into emotional connectivity with their families, they decided to only connect with their either deeply with their work or their social circles at work or their friendship circles outside of work. These are the levels at which men have operated for centuries. But as a result, even though they might be operating with having great friendships with a lot of men at work, outside of work, in their family life also, if they are staying in joint families or staying in the same city where two three siblings are staying closer to their parents, they have their emotional health related everything in sorted and balanced in place. If you're living in the same city where you have two three other siblings living, be it your brothers and sisters who live close by, you can anytime pick up the phone and call them or go and visit them. Or if you're having family functions, celebrating birthdays and marriages, you get to visit and see their friends and siblings, right? Or if you don't live in the same city as your siblings, which happened to my father and many of his colleagues, they had a good social circle of men who would in the evening time go and hang out at each other's homes or hang out in the temple and chat with each other. Or there were some men like my friends fathers who were involved in temple activities or social activities. That's how they ended up having a social circle, either in the evening times or during the weekends. If not that, if they didn't even have that social circle, those men who are very work oriented, they would at least take the time to hang out with their friends during lunchtime or after work, to have a little bit of chit chat with their office co-workers. So that's how most men have created a social circle around them where they shouldn't be unhappy unless they have a lot of things going wrong in their lives, which makes any of these parameters difficult for them to hold in their lives. But look at the woman's life and the same time when they are married to such men. If they are married to a man who has his siblings around him, if he has been a beloved child of his parents, he will never think about the needs of his women. He doesn't understand how lonely his wife can get if, say, the wife's parents don't live nearby, if the wife stays away 3-4 hours away or across state lines from their parents. He doesn't look into those needs of his spouse, that she also needs to hang out with her family, she also needs to talk to her family. I have found so many men who provide the provisions, have given food, clothing, shelter to their women, but they couldn't even provide them a simple phone call that take their wife. At the time when we were growing up, people didn't have STD phones across state lines in their homes. If you didn't have in the first initial years of growing up that provision in your homes, you could have gone and taken your wife to a STD phone booth and spoken to her. Yes, it would have costed you 100 rupees. It should have been the same as 100 rupees that you are spending in your weekly groceries, because at that time groceries were cheap in India. But food is as much of a need as love is. So if you're not taking your wife or didn't take your wife to do that simple phone call, you are failing. My dad, that's why I felt, was not the perfect dad. He did provide one avenue, that he would buy her letters to post to her family so that she can keep her spirits high. He would insist that she write or we write to our family. So I'm not saying he failed completely, but he also didn't fail at the deeper, he failed at the deeper level, because if you have access to other people via phone call, is that which will immediately bring your energies into a higher vibration. If you could speak on the phone with your parents, if you're living away from them, at a time when only phone was a immediate means of connection with them, you need to provide that to your family than letters, which was his way of communicating with his family when he lived away from his family for a few years while he was in a hostel life. So when he was in a hostel life, for him, while writing letters, or when he was living away from his family and he felt maybe writing letters is a way to connect, and at that time letters and telegrams were the way of communication, it makes sense when what is the current generation's way of communication, you use that as a way of communication. But by the time a new method of communication has been developed and also has been adopted by many families, you can provide that extra 100 rupees of care to your spouse, but you didn't provide that. Or he could have had a phone system where his family could have made sure that after he had worked in his work life for a few decades, a decade or more, they had the opportunity to have phones with STDs in their phones. They would have just had to pay a little bit extra to get home phones with STD. But he didn't take that opportunity even then. And again, it would have been only another 100-200 rupees a month extra that he might have had to pay for that. And considering that the salary increase that he had as a government employee, that shouldn't have been too much to ask for him to do for his family. And on my mother's parents' side of the family, none of them also took the effort to call her, keep in touch with her, ask her how she is doing, reply back to the letters that she was sending to them. There were so many ways in which they could have connected back with her as well to make her feel important, but they were the kind who were out of sight, out of mind, only involved in whatever is the immediate thing happening in their lives. So one of my aunts, her spouses died. As a result, they were definitely struggling with the fact that her spouse died and they have to also now caretake her children. But even though that was happening, my uncle, he was a doctor and he was getting busy phone calls all the time, being a popular doctor from many fronts. As a result, their phone lines were always perpetually busy. So even if my dad had provided that mechanism to my mother to call her parents, because her parents now, they were socioeconomically higher level than my dad, even then they didn't think of buying two phones, having one phone for work purposes for my uncle and another phone for home purposes for everyone else in the family, where they had a family of like 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 people living in that family, in one family. You can't have two phones when 9 people are living together, and out of those 9 people there were 4 breadwinners. My aunt earned money, my the aunt who was a widow, she was earning her own money. The uncle and aunt were doctors, and they were doctors always earn the highest strata of income along with engineers in India, so they were also both very earning money. My grandfather was a retired government employee, so he had retirement income. So all these 4 people had good chunk of income to invest again in a second phone line. But they didn't think that it is important because 9 of them are living together in the same house. They are caretaking each other or thinking about caretaking each other. The other people of their family, like my mother, didn't matter to them. All it mattered was that during vacation time they would do some extra care of my mother or caretaking of my mother when we came and visited. But that vacation time caretaking is just a compensatory mechanism of how you caretake someone when for rest of the year or rest of 3-4 years, if no one has come and visited you, you're not thinking about them, sending energy to them. They could have also sent emotional energy to my mother. They could have also tried occasionally to come and visit us in our place. We lived in Mumbai and my grandparents lived in Kolkata. All it needed was one train ticket or one plane ticket, which again they could have invested that couple of thousands of rupees in buying a train ticket and coming and visiting us at least once in 5-6 years. But they were so involved in caretaking the other 4 grandkids that to them and the 2 kids that were living with them, to them the 1 kid and 2 other grandkids weren't important. Now this is how families start getting fractured, that even though when men have a lot of financial income, men and women have a lot of financial income, even though men and women are generous in some fronts, if you don't think about when you have a good family unit existing in a home life, and they had a very good home life, they didn't have strifes in their home life. Most of the because if you are living in a family of so many people living together, sometimes you can have strifes within the family where sibling rivalry can arise, where backbiting between in-laws, sister-in-laws can arise. But I never saw that backbiting. There was some rivalry, but the way they managed the rivalry was very effortlessly done and very easily done. But that is how family life should be. If you have a very good family unit, you're supposed to take care of the people outside of that family unit who might not be living with you. They could be your second cousins, they could be your own siblings who are living further away from you, they could be your grandkids, they could be your nephews and nieces. This is where you're supposed to expand your social circle, not just simply financially. But most of us, if you have grown up and been blessed with a very good family life, people just continue on what they saw in their family life, which is, if you've seen your parents and grandparents earning money and providing you with financial goods related to food, clothing, shelter, or because they earn more money, when they started earning more money, they started getting more better quality clothes, better quality food, or something as a additional perk. But if your socioeconomic status got raised at a higher level than the average people of that area, you are also meant to evolve in that way, higher than the socioeconomic status at which you have evolved. Meaning, not higher, but at par with the socioeconomic evolvement of your family life. If your family life has a good structured bonding with each other, immediate family life, and you are socioeconomically also doing far above the average middle class, then you have to give back to society and your family in that level. But many people fail in there. And that's why even in simple things like Valentine's Day, men are currently not able to even provide a simple rose to their wife, provide a simple, if you their spouse is a spouse of couple of kids and she is all the time a housewife and just taking care of kids 90% of the time in her family life. For a woman and mother like that, who is constantly just simply taking care of kids, doing nothing else except taking care of kids and spouses, and doesn't even have a financial income, for her a simple rose, simple walk in the garden or park where the spouse meaningfully connects with her, simple asking by a spouse, how was your day, simple going to a movie or a dinner date with a spouse, going to a spa workout with their spouse. There are so many simpler, cheaper ways they can make their wives happy. All it will take is, if you are providing 5,000, 10,000 rupees or dollars to your family for your family needs, because most if you are living in US, I have lived in US and I know average family if life usually will, if you are not eating out often or don't have a cook or any other things like that, or if you have a small average family of one or two children, you might only need to spend about 5,000 6,000 rupees in food and clothing and shelter related expenses in dollars. And if you're living in India, you might be spending 10,000 to 20,000 rupees, okay, in a daily average expense of a family. So if you're spending about 20,000 rupees for your family regularly for all your family based needs, in that 20,000 rupees of expense, and you are earning say a 50,000 rupees to 50,000 to 2-3 lakhs of salary a month, many men and women earn. Now, if they are middle class families, so if you're earning like that and both partners are earning money like that, 50,000 to 1-2 lakhs of rupees, aren't you able to even spend 1,000-2,000 rupees in flowers, or going out for a date, or going out for a Disney adventure or amusement park adventure, or even just going for a walk regularly with your spouse? That's all your spouse needs, but you're not doing that. And then if as a result your wife becomes depressed, if as a result your wife becomes disconnected and disenchanted because despite whatever money you have, you're not able to provide that to your spouse, and you don't even talk nicely with your spouse or don't even connect meaningfully with your spouse, because you're, after coming back home also, you're sitting in your laptop and either pursuing your hobbies or chatting with your family, or because these are the distractions men do, that I have seen. All the men that I have dated, or all the men that I'm the one I got married to, these are the places where men will distract themselves after they come from a busy day at work. If they had a busy day, non-busy day, they need their rest. So for their rest, what do men do? They will watch TV, they will watch do if they are workaholics, they will again immerse themselves at work, at home life. If they are not workaholics, they might watch a TV show, they might go out and hang out with their friends, they might go out for a drink with their friends, or they might come after from work, after socializing at work. If they are a high profile executive CEO, then they will use their work perks to go and hang out with their colleagues and have drinks, or some fancy stuff, whatever the CEO level people do, they will do that and hang out and socialize with men and women, flirt with women, whatever they want to do, they will do, and then they will come back home. But at home, that same energy that you gave to your friends and colleagues for socializing, and that warmth and charm and smile and nice sociable front that you put up for the world outside your family life, when you come back home, you don't give that to your wife. So is your wife going to be depressed as a result because you're not giving any caretaking energy and loving energy to her? Or is she going to be happy even if you are a millionaire? No, if you're a millionaire, if you are a poor watchman of a building, either of you, if you haven't, after working, having a work life, social life at work, where you're interacting and gossiping with your colleagues, or chit-chatting with your friends, you come back home and your wife is financially dependent on you, and you don't give her that simple grace that you give to everyone else outside the home life, and agreed that you are tired, and you had and it is a tiring thing for every one of us, if after 8 hours of work, 1 hour we spend chit-chatting with friends and expending that loving energy towards our friends, we will get tired if we are exhausted from all the energy we have dispelled to others, and we didn't get back same energy back inside us, right? So coming back home, everyone wants to take rest. But if a man wants to take rest and relax and find time, 2-3 hours of his own self-care time, you think the woman who's a housewife and a mother of a couple of kids doesn't need the same thing? She also needs rest, she also needs some love, and women need the love more than the men do, because women don't get it from their parents are ignoring them. The parents, if the parents have brothers as their children and they live with their brothers, many patriarchal society women and men, they, after their kids have a good social life, end up living with their sons. So when son is living with his mother, he gets that emotional energy from his mother. Even if he's not living with his mother is always thinking and providing him that emotional energy that she doesn't even think of providing to her daughter who lives far away from her. Or because patriarchally our society has been structured in then this mindset of only taking care of boys, that many women forget to take care of their girls after their girls are married. Not at the same level, it's never the same equal level or even equitable level for the women child. It just isn't. I haven't seen a single woman sibling that I have grown up with, or single women friend that I have grown up with, who hasn't faced this lack of love from every front. And the only last hope women have, usually, if they still want to keep the spirit of love alive inside themselves, is either via romance from their spouses and boyfriends, or if that part of their life is also gone when they have reached middle age and they can see that their spouses and boyfriends are not going to provide it to them at all, then by the middle age the woman starts pinning all the love in their male children. Most of the women will automatically and subconsciously be doing that. And here is why now those women, if they have one two male child, one two female child, if they have only male children, they will completely pour it into their male child without ever again that male child ever giving it back equitable level to their parent. And the if they had one male and one female child, the female child will be ignored many of times, financially, emotionally, caretaking wise, mental health and emotional health wise, everything. Only time their female child would get some priority is if they would visit once in 2-3 years their parental homes. That's when maybe for the 1 week of stay or 2-3 days of stay the mother might wish to give something to the female child. A majority of the women, they don't even do that if their female child is visiting, because if they haven't received good quality love from their parents and from their siblings and from their spouses, the woman somehow is very less able to provide it to the female child, and there will always be a rivalry towards the female child as well, because say the husband doesn't provide the wife anything except the bare necessities of life like food, clothing, shelter, rarely gives his wife a new sari or a gold jewelry or a jacket or a shawl or whatever. Like my grandmother's lifetime, she needed all these things. If the spouse is not providing that, or even thinking like what can I get my wife when it is her birthday, or what can I give to my wife when it is a festival time. Like my grandmother was very religious, so something related to religion, if it was gifted to her, she would have liked, but nothing like that extra special was ever done for her in her life. So as a result, she was a little bit critical of her husband sometimes in very minor levels, but she was also like the best of the women only, because she was only critical and occasionally she would get critical and bitter about something, but because she was praying so much, she would let go of her criticism potentially via the 2-3 hours she took in praying and devoting life to God rather than her spouse or her children who had already grown up. And she could have bonded at a deeper level with her grandkids, and I think maybe she did bond with some of her grandkids. She didn't bond with me, or I didn't bond with her, because we were very different personalities. And when growing up and visiting them as a child, I was also more involved in hanging out with my cousins than with my grandparents or uncles and aunts, right? So I didn't devote time in understanding my grandparents only later on in life, because I've had the luxury of having a mostly it has been a curse too, but it has been a blessing. In because I have mostly led a single life, I get to reflect more deeply on these topics, and that's why I'm posting on this. So this Valentine's Day, even though Valentine's Day has passed, I hope any of the men or women who are watching this video will reflect a little bit deeply on why they have a hard time connecting and socializing with the women in their life, and providing for them something extra during their birthdays, mother days, Valentine's days, or even monthly when the woman is going through her periods. Because all the woman needs, why do you think God has created a woman to have periods monthly? Do you think it is just simply because they were meant to be a mother and that's why they are bleeding monthly? According to Hinduism, women are also bleeding out the negative energy from their system during the period months, and they need to let out all the negative energy from the system, from all the love they are pouring out to everyone, which they are not receiving at a equitable level. So like when you are using a phone, Even a phone, when it is giving an output of all these video recording, camera capturing, me using apps on my phone, me using the phone to talk to people, after all this output functions that the phone is providing to me, its battery also runs out. It also needs regular charging to electrify itself and function in the best way possible. And you will observe in some poor quality phones that when the battery is going low, the quality of functions of the phone also reduces. Your apps might start hanging up, or your phone call quality might go down, or the music you're listening to or the video you're watching on your phone will go down when the battery is down. Same way with a woman. If a woman is constantly providing you loving energy, caring energy, thoughtful things that she's doing without even a man or a child or a sibling asking them to do it, without even them ever investing in or asking you to give it back in return. But even if a woman doesn't ask you to give it back in return, even if a woman stops expecting anyone in their life to give them back anything that they have given equitably to their family, be it time, be it energy, be it phone calls, be it hanging out with them when they needed you to hang out with them, be it providing supportive advice when someone needed some advice while on a phone call, whatever someone provided, be it buying you gifts, because women who earn money, they also are equally generous with giving financial gifts to their spouses, siblings, everyone in their life. But the thing is, even though they are earning, even though they are providing from energetic level to material level many things to their spouses, siblings, parents, children, depending on whether they are married or unmarried, divorced or having kids or not having kids, whatever the level of people around them in their life that they have, women are always ready to give. Most women, very rarely have I found really selfish, narcissistic women in the world. Very rarely. Most women are very giving, they are constantly giving, but that same giving that they provide, that thoughtfulness that they provide, especially to their relationships, very rarely gets back to them. And it is very easy. Like, as I said, if my grandfather had bought something related to puja related activities for his spouse, she would have been happy. Or if he had taken her to go and visit her family occasionally, even after 20, 30, 40 years of marriage, if she had revisited her parental homes, she would again have been very happy. If he had invited people from her parental homes to come and visit her, again she would have been very happy. These are very easy mechanisms. She would have been kept at a higher vibrational, happier level than she was provided. Or if they had got that extra phone where she can talk with her siblings, again she would have been very happy. But it didn't happen. Neither did it happen. The grandfather didn't provide it. Then after the grandfather, like her husband didn't provide it, she had a son. Now the son and daughter, who both earned money, and a daughter-in-law who also earned money, there were three people after her spouse who were earning good quality money, who could have given her a extra phone, extra train ticket, extra bus ticket, extra cab ride to take her to her parental homes, or have someone from their parental home come and stay with her occasionally, or given her an extra phone line. Even they didn't provide it. Then after that, she had 4 grandkids. Out of those 4 grandkids, the time when she was alive, 2 of the grandkids had more than average income parents. As a result, they might have had cell phones. Even if they didn't have cell phones, they had pocket money. Did any of them at that time, when she was alive with them, living with them, has raised them partly during their childhood, none of them provided her anything after their first salary. This was very strange. But after I went to US, I was the one, after going to US, and maybe I'm touting my horn here, people might think, but this is the bare minimum thing I did to her, and I saw the pleasure she had. I only bought her in the 3 times I visited her before her death. One time I got her body lotion, and she used to love wearing creams, Nivea creams, and as a result, when I gave her a body lotion, she was delighted and happy to use it. When one time I provided her just simple slippers, and she was very particular in having a separate slipper for going to the bathroom, or not wearing slippers while in the bathroom. They used to wear slippers in the house, and when going to the bathroom, she was particular not to wear those slippers in the bathroom. So for her, I provided her an extra slipper in case she wants to wear slippers in the bathroom too. She was happy with that. One time I gave her some jewelry. One time I gave her 3 or 4 times, I think I met her after her death. Every time I gave her something. I also didn't think of giving her a phone, and so I'm not saying that I was also perfect. I was missing my grandparents and family when I was living in US. So after I had a good income, I could have given them also a cell phone, which I didn't do. So I'm not saying that I also haven't been a mess. I have also been a mess only, but I'm saying whatever simple gifts I gave her, she was very happy to receive it from me. Simple to a little bit expensive. I gave her jewelry when I had started earning more money. When I didn't have that much money, I gave her a $5 gift. When I had more money, I gave her more than that amount gift. But none of my cousins, until my cousin went to US, she never got anything for her grandmother, even though she has lived in the, not saying anything, she did possibly buy her saris, she did, but saris is something she was anyways getting from her husband. So what would be an extra gift that you could give to a person who already has a husband, the person who already, when she didn't have a husband, when her husband passed away, she was getting saris from her children. So the grandkids have to give something different than what the children are already providing, or something thoughtful related to what the grandparent would want. I had wanted to give her even a gold idol of a god's idol to her later on in life, but by then she also passed. By then I was also a little not earning that high to think of spending that much money on a small gold thing, so I never gave her that. But I'm hoping next generation can do this to their grandparents. If you have a grandparent still alive right now, and your grandparent is highly spiritual, can you give them something related to spirituality that will be meaningful for them? No one is telling you to buy an expensive gold idol for them, but you can take them to a Tirth Yatra, you can take them to a movie with God in the movie. You can buy them an iPad where they can watch TV serials which is about spirituality, or exercises and meditations that are regarding spirituality. You can do that for your family, right? If you have a grandparent still. So this Valentine's Day, start with your grandparents, parents, siblings and spouses. And if you are a woman, many women I see are unhappy that in Valentine's Day, after 10-20 years of marriages, even then, and their husband's doing really well, no woman expects a man to give her a diamond ring or expensive diamond ring, when very few women will expect that when they are in the beginning years of marriage. But even after 10-20 years of marriage, you couldn't give her something expensive, something meaningful, valuable, thoughtful, if not expensive, because expensive also, very few women are really greedy about asking expensive things from their spouses or even their children. But if you can't make her a simple breakfast, if you can't give her a day of rest, if you can't truly give her weekends filled with 1 hour rest where the mom is simply not doing anything, because technically every mom is entitled to this rest that a man has been getting years and years and decades of their life. Men are getting that 1, 2, 3, 4 hours of rest where they are resting and chilling in front of their computer or TV, either continuing on their work or socializing with their friends or something or the other. But the woman doesn't, very rarely does a woman get to do that for herself. Very rarely. And there are women who have started doing something for themselves by posting things on social media. If they have a skill that they want appreciation for, they are developing that with their content creation, because they're not getting it from their spouses or children or siblings or family or friends also. Very few women get that from even their friends. But you could give a rose to your friend if you are feeling unhappy that you didn't get a rose. Why not go and give a rose to your friend as well? And maybe start a friendship circle of friends where if you are a group of 5 girls who can hang out, because you're maybe mothers, you can't hang out every day of the year, but hang out on Valentine's Day, give each other a dinner, give each other a rose, or whatever else simple frivolous gift that you're capable of spending on each other to make yourself feel happy. The romance that your husband is not providing, start getting it from your friends. Or the same thing that is making you unhappy right now, that your husband can't even give you a rose or a bouquet of roses, or take you out for a expensive dinner than a cheap dinner that he usually takes the family out for, then take yourself out for that dinner if you have that financial income. Or even if you don't have a financial income but your spouse has given you enough money, use a part of that money on yourself. You are entitled to use it on yourself, because being a mom itself and stay at, or even if you're not a mom, you're a single woman dependent on your spouse, even then you're entitled to 50% of your spouse's income, because you're giving him all this free income. If not 50%, at least 30% of his income you should be entitled to, because you're giving him energy, thought, food, clean house. If all of these you are able to manage for your family, give yourself a pat in the back. Because I can't manage all of these things many a times, and that's the reason why many of my relationships have failed. But I have realized I want that spouse only who will give 50% or at least 40% effort in everything. If he can't give 40% effort in love, he can't give 40% effort in home care, can't give 40% effort in child care, not ready to give 40% effort in any social activities I want to do with them, because I want that kind of a spouse. If I can't find that kind of a spouse or life partner, I am happy to be single, because I don't have that emotional energy, body energy, mental energy. And I didn't grow up seeing my mom also give that much, because she just couldn't. She got exhausted completely. So I'm the next generation. My grandmother couldn't give it, but because she couldn't give it, she started giving it to God instead. Because with God, what happens is unconditional love is always present from God. Unconditional love is always given back to us from God. So how much ever love we give to God, that much love doubles, triples, quadruples and comes back to us when we are praying to God. So when you have no deep social connections in your life, you should fall back into God. And that is what my grandmother has done. That is what my mother also did. My grandmother invested, at least after her kids had grown up, she was spending minimum 5 hours of her life devoting to God. My mother spent minimum 1 hour of her day, like life, meaning every day my grandmother used to do this, until she had health problems, when she reduced her time in going and sitting at her, because she couldn't get up and take the stairs to go up the stairs to do her prayers that she was doing regularly. Until that time, she used to go regularly to do it, and this is where her daughter gave back to her eventually, the daughter who stayed with her, because my mom had already died before my grandmother died. But my aunt, she gave back to her mom by going and taking over her mom's prayer duties. So this is how she did end up giving back to her mom. And because by that time my aunt had retired from work, so she also was a retired person, didn't have responsibility. Her children were working or busy in college life or dating or married. As a result, she also had plenty of time to devote, so she also started devoting a couple of hours of her life to God. Same way my mother also used to devote 1 hour of her life daily to God. I wasn't close to God, even though I had seen these women be close to God or praying to God, even though I didn't myself technically go and see how my grandmother is praying or how my mother is praying or even why they are praying, because my dad was very opposed to my mother praying and that impacting her chores as a spouse, in giving food in the right time. So as a result, I was very not religious when I was growing up, as well as in my 20s and 30s. I would devote only like 5 minutes or 1 minute to God by lighting a incense stick occasionally during festival time, or lighting a candle during Diwali time, or lighting a bunch of diyas during Diwali time. This was my level of spirituality for at least 15 years of my independent adult life, when I was not living with my father and didn't have his influence. But even in those 15 years, because I was a single person most of those 15 years, I started going towards spirituality without even knowing I was going towards it. So that's why before COVID, for a few years, I was intensely praying every day. I was lighting candles, I was doing meditations or putting on music with prayers on them. So I became highly spiritual a few years before COVID. But when COVID hit, I got so sick as a result from the prayers that I never did, but now suddenly I did, because it wasn't the prayers that made me sick, but the prayers and meditation and energy cleaning and other spiritual things that I did cleansed my body so much that I also attracted darkness inside me a little bit for a while. And the second thing that also happened was, because my lungs were not used to the incense sticks, and that many incense sticks, my lungs got completely destroyed. And not just from incense stick, there were other earth pollution parameter related things also happening. But as a result, I got sick from those incense sticks. Some of those incense sticks had scents which were really toxic to our health. So if you are intending also to gift anyone in your family any religious things or romantic things for Valentine's Day, like a candle, make sure it has pure essential oil in them and not artificial fragrance, or it is made ethically and not unethically, because even candles can have some health harm related to, and especially because COVID has, even though COVID has gone away, lung related disorders and respiratory and cardiovascular illnesses have not gone away. They can't go away if we use toxic incense sticks, candles, and anything that is toxic to our lungs are prevalent in our lives. Then our health deteriorates as a result of toxic things present in our daily lives or in our environment. So make sure, even, and also perfumes, if you're giving a perfume also to your spouse, make sure it is a natural thing. Make sure it's a mild perfume than overtly scented perfume, because this is a video about ascension and awakening too. And as a part of ascension and awakening, what every human being has to awaken to, or is slowly getting awakened to, is that you will start observing that the same candles or perfumes or air fresheners or things women use to beautify themselves, if the scents in those products are not natural, or if the product itself has a lot of artificial elements to them, many women might have started experiencing allergies, health issues, cancer related issues, organ damage related issues from years or decades, or even mass usage of many of these products. Because that is what happened to me, and that's why I make these videos not wearing any makeup except a lip gloss usually. And that's because I got highly allergic to many chemicals in the environment, and that will happen to people who are we are all in the ascension journey. Earth is supposed to wake up slowly about things that are wrong in earthly life that harm our health. And that's why, if you're giving a gift to a woman or anyone in your life who you want to give a gift to during Valentine's Day or their birthdays or any other special days, be careful and mindful about and thoughtful about what you're giving them. A simple to an expensive gift, if it has got some ethical issues, health harming issues associated with it, or if it is not thoughtful enough to consider the emotional needs of your partner, it ends up failing as a true gift to your partner. Because, say, which I had one time problem, I had a very generous boyfriend, but he wore these sprays, body clones that men use for dating me and taking me for a birthday one time, and I got like really super cranky and upset over many things. Now, some of it was related to our personal issues with each other, but some of it, when I got cranky and super upset, was because the colognes had chemicals in them that my brain can't take and handle, and all kinds of I just can't be a normal rational person when exposed to those chemicals. So both from men's perfume and women's perfume, this happens to me with sometimes I get drowsy, sometimes I get headaches, sometimes I just get mood changes and mood swings. So it's not thoughtful. If you're wearing this cologne, you see an advertisement on TV which shows that wearing a cologne or a perfume is very sensual and attractive towards your spouse, but 90% of the time I'll tell you it is not. The thing that is attractive is having a clean body, really clean body. And if you're using an essential oil that speaks to both of you, then that is attractive. Using an essential oil, like I love peppermint oil or rose, or there are certain scents that I get drawn towards, and if your spouse is also drawn towards those natural scents from the natural environment, using those products are beneficial. But again, in those products also, you have to be careful about what product you're buying, because in this time of abundance on earth, where majority of the people, or at least 90% of the population of the earth, has a good modest income level, or both spouses have good modest income levels, now is the time to buy ethical products, health safe products, products that have been raised in good environments. And from that, if you're buying a natural product, it has to be raised in a good environment. Otherwise also, the quality of say you're buying a sandalwood oil scented candle, it may have been natural sandalwood that has been used, but if that sandalwood was raised in chemical environments, then the toxins from those chemicals will be present in your candle. So ethical growing of plants and trees are also necessary. Same with your food related activities, nutrition related activities, a restaurant you're going to eat food, and while women are going to be sad if their husbands haven't taken them out on a date or an expensive restaurant outing, or given them an expensive present, know this: currently on earth, more than the expense of the thing a spouse does for you, quality of the thing is more valuable. Quality of the experience and depth of the experience needs to come in marital relationships, familial relationships, to make any thing physically, materially, spiritually, emotionally satisfying and long lasting memory for a person. So please devote your time, effort, energy into building these relationships with your spouses. Even if you never took the time to do it in 40, 50, 60, 70 years of your life, try building it with your in-laws, try building it with your siblings. And if you are not able to build it with any of them, which is what happened to me when I got to the sickest phase of my life, I realized not a single person in my life I could depend on to take care of me. So that's when I leaned even more to God, and I realized God is the only thing that saved me from this horror of going to near cancer levels, horror of having respiratory tract issues from candles and incense sticks that were chemically harmful to the body. And I speak about all this is because of my educational knowledge, as well as some intuitive knowledge about what is going wrong on earth that people need to awaken to. And so women, do something simple with your spouses or friends or family, depending on who is more amenable to doing something with you, because self-care is very important. And if you are not getting it from your spouse or your kids, find the social circle from where you can get the love that you deserve. Every woman deserves love and care. When she's sick, when a special day is happening, when she's going through periods, when she's going through health issues, and many women are going through all of these issues currently globally, but 90% of their family or friends or they themselves, if they are very busy, are clueless about what is happening to them. I'm not clueless. I'm tuned in because I lead a lonely life. That's why I get to tune into what is going wrong with the world and in our lives. And I also get to tune into what I want in my own life to make my life better, what I deserve in my own life, that I realized after nearly almost 30-40 years of loneliness, because I had a lot of childhood neglect when growing up. I'm grateful for whatever experiences I had in my childhood, but it wasn't the best experience to make someone feel deeply loved at the deeper level. That's why I understand what is needed to be deeply loved and what one needs to feel deeply loved with their spouses or siblings or family or friends or social circle. And these are the practices I took into consideration before I fell sick, and I want to again begin once I get healthier and healthier. One is, if you don't get a rose from your spouse or child or anyone, or a card also is not possible for them to give it to you, give it to yourself first. Give something to yourself that will be meaningful to you. If it is a rose, if it is a book, if it is a spa day, if it is 1 hour of sitting and doing nothing, if it is 1 hour of walks daily, 20 minutes of walk daily, or 15 minutes of connecting to God, whatever works for you, do it. If it can be all these 6 things, half an hour of exercise, do it. Whatever it is you want to do it that makes you feel truly happy in your life. Try to do it either daily or at least weekly and monthly, if not daily. This is the first thing that you should give to yourself as a gift on any special day. Secondly, if you can train your children and spouses to at least make some dish for you, try to do that, because some people have generous spouses. It's just that they are clueless about what they should give. Third is, go for meaningful walks with them. But if your family and spouses are not ready to do this, then go and find those friends and social relationships where you can do it. Fourth is, give roses, as I suggested, to your friends. But if you don't have friends to give those roses to, why don't you go and give it to a stranger? Why don't you go and give it to someone who's homeless? Why don't you go and give some expensive gift to a homeless person who doesn't even have a family to live with? If you love cooking for your family and no one loves cooking for you, yes, you are feeling sad because no one is giving you that food and nurture and care that you deserve. But I can guarantee tell you, if you take this same food and give it to Meals on Wheels like organizations that deliver to paralyzed people or the elderly, or if you go and donate to some homeless person, I can guarantee tell you the love you will get from them will be more precious than the love you might receive from your own family, if your family hasn't learned how to give back the love that you have invested to your family. So these are just a few suggestions which I found provided more meaning. You can help a stray animal, you can adopt an animal, you can start growing plants in your backyard if you have a garden space, and start growing plants free of chemical usage, because otherwise you will add up more problems in your life. So please think about what makes life meaningful to you when you are not able to find that meaning with the social connections in your life, and start taking the steps to finding those meaningful connections and building those bridges where you can get it possibly back from your family, but you have to teach them, as none of us have been raised in families where our parents showed us how to be kind and nurturing and generous and soft towards women when they are having their illnesses. Men don't intuitively pick it up. Men also are very rarely capable of providing it to a woman, even when a woman speaks it up and says, "This is what I need," because they are so clueless and they haven't trained themselves in understanding the needs of their own family or of their own spouses or their own siblings or their own daughters or their own mothers. So if they haven't understood their own mother, do you think they will understand their wife and daughter's needs? No. So you have to teach them, and if they are teachable, because some men are not teachable and you have to give up on those spouses who are not teachable, but if they are teachable, or if you're stuck already in a marriage with a spouse who may not have been teachable for 30-40 years of their life, but maybe slowly they can learn something. And I hope you found this video to be meaningful. Please post a comment if you have any comments and suggestions on how you raise your vibrations when you're feeling lonely, when you're not in the social circle that you grew up with, and what you do to raise your vibrations other than what I suggested here, and how do you keep yourself cheerful when you're not getting and receiving that energy from your friends, family, social circle, colleagues, etc. And have a good day, have a good Valentine's Day. Try to do these not just for Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Women's Day, birthdays, anniversaries, anytime your men have failed you in your life. And that's the best way to get out of this funk than becoming bitter and starting to plot revenges where you are not going to care for them, because that very rarely women can do. Women will still end up caring for a spouse who's abusive, neglectful, mean-spirited, toxic, whatever the level of spouse you have. Most women accept it, take it with a pinch of salt, but men don't realize that, and that's why they get befuddled, like, oh, I'm tolerating so much from my spouse, when it is the women who have been not just tolerating for just what the neglect that the spouse gives them, but neglect from all fronts. So women have to first start taking care of themselves in a way where they don't feel neglected, then start taking care of the next level things related to building a good social circle, because this is where men are excelling without even people asking them to excel at it, when they need to excel in the personal home life front now, in the next generation of children they are bringing up and raising up. Those men who already do this, who are already kind and thoughtful to their spouse and are good provider to their spouses, the next level is to understand how to caretake your spouse if your spouse gets sick, because most spouses won't tell you when they are sick. They will just show you with a cranky word or a bitter word or an angry shout. So you have to understand and pick up from that, because most women, if they do end up telling their men that I'm getting a headache, the man doesn't think that she has a headache, I should do a head massage, or she has a headache, I should bring her some essential oil that might help her with the headache. Instead, they will just say take a tablet. But a tablet is no more effective therapy for emotional problems, related issues, for toxicity based health problems where your body is already overloaded and as a result you're getting a headache. So I will post a video on this also in the next video, because I am going into further digressing into other topics. But a man needs to start becoming thoughtful in the same way the spouse is thoughtful. If she has a flu, the woman goes and makes your favorite soup and khichdi and other things that you love to eat when you're sick. How many times have men gone and made these dishes for their women when she is sick? Very few men do that. And the ones who do that, kudos to you. Now it is time for you to realize how to receive from your spouse possibly, and also the time to realize, are you in the right marriage if you are only the giver for anyone, be it a man, be it a woman? Are you in the right marriage if you are the majority giver and you have not majorly received the love and care and affection and thoughtfulness that you deserve? Or also time to understand, is it just an illusion that you're persisting in, that your spouse is not loving and thoughtful towards you? Because sometimes some of us also think we are not getting thoughtful gifts from our spouses when they are trying to be thoughtful towards us. So some women have a hard time accepting the thoughtfulness also from their spouses if they were not raised in those environments earlier. So those women who have a thoughtful spouse may need to sit and reflect on whether they have a thoughtful spouse, or are they making up stories in their mind which says that the spouse might not be thoughtful. So be mindful of that then, because if you have a thoughtful, blessed life and you are thinking you don't have it, that too is a problem that needs to be fixed at the thought, emotional and spiritual level. So I hope this video was meaningful, and again, drop a comment, and thank you. Have a great day.